नमस्कार आदाब दोस्तों। जैसा आपको मालूम है कि अमेरिका में बाइडेन और कमला हैरिस की टीम काम करना शुरू कर चुकी है। उनके पहले कुछ बड़े फैसले, पहले दिन के ही बड़े फैसले आ गए हैं, जिन्होंने तीन बड़े ट्रंप के ज़माने के तीन बड़े फैसलों को उलट दिया है। जिसमें ट्रंप के समय में जब वो क्लाइमेट डायलॉग से अमेरिका बाहर निकल गया था, वो वापस आ गया। पहले ही हस्ताक्षर में जो बाइडेन ने ये किया व्हाइट हाउस में घुसते ही। दूसरा काम उन्होंने किया कि जो मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी कंट्रीज के जो नागरिकों को वीजा का बैन था वो उन्होंने लिफ्ट कर दिया और WHO को में वापस अमेरिका आ गया। एक पहला संकेत दिया कि वो ट्रंप की जो भी डिवाइसिव पॉलिसीज थी उसके उसके उलट बाइडेन और कमला हैरिस का प्रशासन काम करेगा, उनकी टीम काम करेगी। आज हम इसी मुद्दे पर हम बात करेंगे कि जो बाइडेन और कमला हैरिस की टीम का भारत के रिश्तों के साथ क्या मतलब है। दोस्तों, जैसा आपको मैं बता दूं पहले से कि ट्रंप के समय मोदी और ट्रंप की केमिस्ट्री बहुत अच्छी थी और वो आइडियोलॉजिकल केमिस्ट्री थी, लेकिन भारत को उसका कितना फायदा मिला ये बड़ा विवादित मामला है। ट्रंप ऑलमोस्ट एक टैरिफ वॉर में भारत के साथ थे। बहुत जगह उन्होंने भारत को राहत नहीं दी। और लेकिन जो बाइडेन के जैसे वीजा के मामले में उन्होंने वीजा H1B वीजा में कटौती की, बहुत से ऐसे मामलों में उन्होंने भारत को मदद नहीं की। जो बाइडेन की टीम अब क्या करेगी और वो भारत के लिए कैसी होगी और राजनीतिक रूप से नरेंद्र मोदी के लिए कैसी होगी, इस चर्चा को हम करेंगे तीन बहुत बड़े विशेषज्ञों से जो अमेरिका में हैं। हमारे साथ रोहित त्रिपाठी हैं जो एक थिंक टैंक से जुड़े हुए हैं। प्रोफेसर विदिशा विश्वास हैं, पॉलिटिकल साइंस की प्रोफेसर हैं। और हमारे साथ मिशिगन से है, सिएटल से है। और प्रोफेसर मनीष मदान है जो न्यू जर्सी से हमारे साथ हैं। तो शुरुआत करते हैं रोहित आपसे ही कि 20 लोगों का स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट कंटीजेंट, स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट टीम 20 भारतीय मूल के लोग हैं और इतनी बड़ी, ये ऐतिहासिक है और इतनी बड़ी टीम पहले नहीं थी भारतीय मूल के लोगों की। तो इसके दो बड़े सीधे मायने कि जो इंडियन अमेरिकन हैं, जो भारतीय मूल के लोग भारत में बसे, अमेरिका में बसे हैं, उनकी हैसियत का अंदाजा लगता है, उनकी ताकत का अंदाजा लगता है। और दूसरा, अगर इसमें कमला हैरिस जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट उनको भी जोड़े तो ये 21 की टीम है। तो इस 21 की टीम में बहुत सारे सदस्य हैं जो भारत में हो रहे ह्यूमन राइट्स के मामलों पर, कश्मीर के मामलों पर बहुत वोकल रहे हैं, बहुत खुल के बोलते रहे हैं और बहुत मोदी साहब की रिजीम के कड़े आलोचक रहे हैं। अब ये लोग सत्ता में हैं और इंपॉर्टेंट पोजीशंस में हैं। कैसे देखते हैं आप?
तो सबसे पहले तो आई थिंक ये कहना जरूरी है कि डायस्पोरा के सभी लोगों को गर्व होना चाहिए कि इतने सक्षम, इतने कॉम्पिटेंट, इतने फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग, प्रोग्रेसिव, प्रगतिशील लोग प्रेसिडेंट बाइडेन की कैबिनेट में और उनके अपॉइंटीज बनकर उनकी सरकार में, उनकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में, प्रशासन में हिस्सा ले रहे हैं। तो आई थिंक ये सबके लिए बहुत गर्व की बात है। और गर्व इसलिए भी होना चाहिए क्योंकि ये जो अपॉइंटमेंट्स हैं, ये जो लोग हैं, उनकी जो वैल्यूज हैं वो ना सिर्फ अमेरिकन डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज से अलाइंड हैं, बल्कि जो इंडियन डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज हैं, जो इंडिया की जो फाउंडिंग डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज हैं
जी,
उनसे अलाइंड है। सो इस बात से आई थिंक डायस्पोरा को, जो अपने अप्रवासी भारतीय हैं, समुदाय है, उनको इन लोगों पे बहुत गर्व होना चाहिए। जहां तक बात है मानव अधिकारों की, ह्यूमन राइट्स की, और इन लोगों के जो पिछले कथन थे, उनका क्या मूल है, क्या वजन है, वो तो तभी देखा जाएगा जब इनके सामने वो समस्याएं आएंगी और इनको एक ऑफिशियल कैपेसिटी में अपने विचार और अपनी आइडियाज आगे रखने पड़ेंगे. सो आई थिंक दैट इज समथिंग दैट हैज टू बी टेस्टेड. यू नो इट्स वन थिंग, जिसे कहते हैं कि जब आप सरकार से बाहर होते हैं, ऑपोजिशन में होते हैं, तो आपको बोलने की क्या इजाजत होती है और क्या आपकी स्वतंत्रता होती है बोलने की, वो अलग होती है जब आप सत्ता में आ जाते हैं. तो क्या सत्ता की जिसे जिम्मेदारी कहते हैं, क्या इनकी जो मानवाधिकारों के प्रति जो निष्ठा है उसको टेस्ट करेगी, उसकी परीक्षा लेगी, और कितने खुलकर ये पॉलिसी में फिर अपने वैल्यूज को ला पाएंगे, ये देखना पड़ेगा. बट शुरुआत तो अच्छी हुई है. और जो अच्छी बात यह है कि काफी लोग जो कैबिनेट में आ रहे हैं और जिनका अपॉइंटमेंट्स हो रहा है, वो मानव अधिकारों के बैकग्राउंड से आ रहे हैं.
जी.
एनएससी में ले लीजिए, स्टेट डिपार्टमेंट में ले लीजिए.
जी.
सो एंड इट आल्सो शोज कि जो अपने प्रेसिडेंट बाइडेन का जो ओवरऑल वर्ल्ड व्यू है कंपेयर टू द लास्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. जो प्रेसिडेंट ट्रम्प थे वो आइसोलेशनिस्ट थे फंडामेंटली, कि लेट्स फोकस ऑन अमेरिका, अमेरिका में देखते हैं क्या होता है, और बाहर देखा जाएगा, अगर अमेरिका को फायदा हो रहा होगा बाहर तो कुछ करेंगे, नहीं तो कोई बात नहीं. So they were isolationists, and Biden comes from a completely different background. Biden Senate Foreign Relations Committee के इतने समय से chairman थे. He was vice president for 8 years. So he's an internationalist. That's why one of the things जैसे आपने कहा कि climate accord में foreign add हो गए. I'm sure वो TPP भी revive करने के पूरे mood में होंगे. Trans-Pacific Partnership जो थी, it's a trade deal, and he's very internationalist in his world view. But the thing is कि उनका जो इंटरनेशनलिज्म है, उनका जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीयवाद है, वो मानव अधिकारों पे बेस्ड है. And he feels very passionately about that. And I think that's why जो अपॉइंटमेंट्स हो रहे हैं वो उन्हीं लोगों के हो रहे हैं जो वो पैशन शेयर करते हैं. अब वही बात है कि आगे चर्चा होगी कि इंडिया एक ऐसी पोजीशन में है जियोपॉलिटिकली, अनफॉर्चुनेटली उसको सिर्फ चाइना के लेंस के थ्रू देखा जाएगा. But it's we'll have to see how the India strategy plays out.
जी जी जी, बिल्कुल. और दर्शकों को मैं बता दूं कि अमेरिका में मानवाधिकारों का भी एक मंत्रालय है, और भारत में एनएचआरसी है लेकिन मंत्रालय नहीं है. नेशनल ह्यूमन राइट कमीशन जरूर है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के रिटायर्ड चीफ जस्टिस उसके अध्यक्ष होते हैं, लेकिन मंत्रालय नहीं है कोई. और अमेरिका में जो मंत्रालय है उसकी मंत्री यानी अंडर सेक्रेटरी उजरा जिया बनाई गई हैं प्रोफेसर विश्वास, और वो कश्मीर से आती हैं, उनका ताल्लुक कश्मीर से है. ह्यूमन राइट के मामलों में बहुत वोकल रही हैं. एक और जो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में एक इम्पोर्टेंट पोजीशन में गई हैं, क्या उनका शांति कैंतिल, तो वो भी वो ह्यूमन राइट कोऑर्डिनेटर हैं. तो ये बड़ा संदेश ह्यूमन राइट को लेकर है. इसके पहले कि हम लोग और बातें करें अमेरिका के बारे में, भारत अमेरिका रिश्तों के बारे में, ये लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस ह्यूमन राइट डिप्लोमेसी, how this will shape relations with India, in particular when Modi is in regime.
Yeah, so I actually had the honor of working with Azra Zia for a year when I was working in the Office of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor in the State Department. It's been a few years. She's amazing. She's really outspoken. She's a great manager. I have nothing but good things to say about her. It was really, really a good experience to work with her. But like Rohit said, I think this remains to be seen how much they are willing or able to speak up about India. I mean, the state of democracy globally is poor. And frankly, the state of democracy in America is poor. So even when I worked in the democracy office, a lot of people would say, well, who are you to say, lecture us? And I think now America is not really, to be honest, in a position to lecture anybody. So I think, it's tricky. I think there are a lot of issues that the US wants to work with India on, not just China. I think, vaccines, kind of working with less developed countries on distributing vaccines is something India can help with. There's trade issues, investment issues. So while I think she and her team are very committed to democracy and human rights, I'm not sure that speaking up about India or about Prime Minister Modi is going to be their top of their agenda, because that's a it's a very, very sensitive country. And it was, even when I worked there's a lot of reluctance to speak up about such a big country. India is an important actor for the US.
Now, there are several factors there. So we have a market size, we have a trade relations, all these things will come into scene. But Professor Biswas, the way we have seen, the human rights no longer is a domestic issue of any country. So that reflection would be there. As Rohit ji was saying that the Biden believe in internationalism.
Yes.
So there'll be as long as I see that the Modi would not be able to encash this chemistry in domestic politics as he has been using doing in the Trump's regime. That would be a disadvantage.
Definitely.
ऑफिशियल लेवल पे कुछ हो ना हो, लेकिन ये तो होगा कि पॉलिटिकल.
Definitely. I think when President Trump went to India and the violence happened in Delhi, Trump chose not to say anything. Yeah. That is not going to happen under a Biden administration. That I'm certain of. So yes, I think the Modi government will have to be more careful because they're going to be called out more. So that restraint will be there. Yeah. How far that restraint goes, like Rohit said, I think we still have to see.
प्रोफेसर मनीष, यही सवाल मैं आपसे पूछता हूँ कि भारत में जब जो बाइडेन राष्ट्रपति बन गए और उसकी एक पृष्ठभूमि है, उस पर हम लोग आगे बात करेंगे कि वो हुआ क्या कैपिटल हिल वगैरह में, तो एक मोदी साहब का एक जुमला या स्पीच का हिस्सा कि अब की बार ट्रम्प सरकार एक बार फिर वायरल हो गया यहाँ. तो इस शैडो में ये टीम आ रही है और बहुत स्ट्रांग टीम है, जैसा बाकी साथियों ने कहा कि बहुत स्ट्रांग टीम है. उजरा जिया वहाँ की ह्यूमन राइट मंत्री हैं. उसके अलावा जो कुछ भी ह्यूमन राइट के इश्यूज अमेरिका एस्टेब्लिशमेंट में उठते रहे हैं, चाहे वो रिलीजियस फ्रीडम कमेटी हो, चाहे वो सीनेट के अंदर हो, वो सारे के सारे इश्यूज डेमोक्रेट सीनेटर्स या कांग्रेस के लोग उठाते रहे हैं. अब वो आवाजें व्हाइट हाउस तक भी जाएंगी क्या?
First of all, congratulations to Joe Biden now, and President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Your question about Modi's statement of "Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar," I would say when Modi proposes, America disposes. That is what I would say that comes from that particular instance. Answer your question कि वो आवाज वहां तक जाएगी या नहीं जाएगी, वो already जा चुकी है. Back in July, during the campaign period itself, Joe Biden team had actually positioned a policy paper for Muslim Americans. And usme they categorically denounced the Citizenship Amendment Act. They denounced the National Registry of the Citizens, the NRC. और उसमें उनका categorical जो statement था, it was basically that the CAA and NRC are inconsistent with the country's long tradition of secularism and with sustaining a multi-ethnic and multi-religious democracy. तो ये position Joe Biden की president बनने से पहले की है. And now that they have the right people, as our fellow panelists have identified, there is more likelihood that those voices will be heard. The reason when Trump was the president, we have also talked before about how Trump and Modi shares that personality cult, as a leader, right? They believe in this whole isolationist, as Rohit very well identified, exceptionalism, that we are the only one. Trump would say America first, and here Modi would say India first. And we have also spoken about it, how in the period of globalization, these being first ideologies don't really work very well. You have to work together. So in that process, there is a high chance, coming back to your question, that those voices will make it up because President Biden has spoken already about it. He's already aware of those issues. The question is how much closely, when would they pick up those issues? I think that would be the key part of it. Those issues are on the table. For example, there's another independent bipartisan group in America, which is called United States, the USCIRF, which is United States Center of Religious Freedom.
Yes.
Now they have already categorized India They have different categories of how they put different countries in different buckets in terms of the religious tolerance slash intolerance and on those issues. And last year in their report, USERF identified India as a CPC, which stood for Country for Particular Concern. Now that, the local advocacy groups in this country in America try to bring attention to the government about this report or the USERF's stance. Now, USERF is an advisory independent body, like I said. So it's not that the Congress or the House will take it as, as a recommendation. It's not the position of the US government. Let's make
Yes.
it clear.
Yes.
But with Biden being in the Biden and Harris being on the country's leadership head here, and they are very system people, they're very process oriented people, in which case the chances are they might even take that report more seriously and make more of of the US stance about that. They also agree that India is now a country of particular concerns when it comes to religious freedoms or religious tolerance or intolerance. So in those processes, you can see those movements. The only question that I would say is that it's not about the question of if, it's a question of when will they pick it up,
Yes.
based on the different agendas that they have on the schedule.
Yes,
So,
yes. और जो कैपिटल हिल में हुआ है मनीष, तो जाहिर सी बात है कि अब अमेरिकन इस्टेब्लिशमेंट, अमेरिकन समाज, अमेरिकन माइंड डेमोक्रेसी को एक नए चश्मे से जरूर देखेगा, और वो सेफ्टी वॉल्व भी कुछ ना कुछ इवॉल्व होंगे आगे चल के। उसकी चर्चा हम लोग बाद में करेंगे। रोहित जी, मैं थोड़ा सा इसको डाइवर्सिफाई करते हैं कि जो आपने कहा शुरू में कि इन लोगों के बायोडेटा तो बहुत स्ट्रांग है ह्यूमन राइट्स के, लेकिन ये सरकार में रहकर कितना कर पाएंगे, ये एक सवाल आता है। और इसमें क्योंकि भारत अमेरिका के जो रिश्ते हैं वो तीन उसके बड़े आयाम हैं। एक, हम भारत एक मार्केट साइज है, मार्केट साइज बहुत बड़ा है। अमेरिकन कॉर्पोरेट और बिजनेस इंटरेस्ट हैं यहाँ पे, ऑलरेडी स्टेक्स हैं और स्टेक्स बढ़ाना भी चाहते हैं। पोस्ट कोविड वर्ल्ड में और भी ज्यादा जरूरत होगी इसकी। दूसरा आता है स्ट्रेटेजिक टाई अप्स की, जो हमारे रणनीतिक जरूरत है अमेरिका की इस क्षेत्र में। तो इंडिया एक बड़ा फुट होल्ड है साउथ एशिया में, वो क्वाड के लिए एक बड़ा की रोल प्ले करता है। जो अमेरिकन सिक्योरिटी अम्ब्रेला एक चाइना के इतर यहाँ पे बनाने की कोशिश हो रही है। चाइना से जो अमेरिका डील करेगा, तो जैसा ट्रम्प डील कर रहे थे उसकी हो सकता है कि ऑप्टिक्स डिफरेंट हो, लेकिन पॉलिसीज कमोबेश वही रहेंगी। चाइना इकोनॉमिकली थ्रेट है। और तीसरा एक है जो डेमोक्रेसी और ह्यूमन राइट का इश्यूज हैं। तो ये तीन जो है वो टाइट रोप वॉक है। इसमें कैसे स्पेस मिलेगा डेमोक्रेसी और ह्यूमन राइट्स की इश्यूज को भारत में इस नई टीम के लिए?
So I just want to say कि विदिशा ने एक बहुत जबरदस्त अभी आर्टिकल लिखा है on the economic side of things, कि कैसे, so I'll defer to her as well on the market front. But मैं ये कहूँगा कि एक लेवल पे कि this should not be seen as a zero sum game. इसका क्या मतलब होता है? Zero sum game का मतलब ये है कि अगर आप जैसे मार्केट पे ज्यादा ध्यान दे रहे हैं तो स्ट्रेटेजिक चीजों पे कम ध्यान हो जाएगा, अगर डेमोक्रेसी पे ज्यादा ध्यान दे रहे हैं तो मार्केट पे कम ध्यान हो जाएगा। ऐसा नहीं है। I mean, I think one would hope that all three things would be on the table. Not only are there
they work in silos also. They work in silos.
Yeah, and they're parallel forces. And I think कि इस जो administration आ रहा है उसमें इंडिया की इतनी समझ है कि they can work on all these parallel fronts. We didn't mention कि Anthony Blinken जो स्टेट सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट हैं, और जेक सलिवन जो कि NSA के नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर हैं, they're both very familiar with India. So it's not just the familiarity with India is coming from the Indian Americans in the administration. The people they're bringing on have long-term familiarity with India. And both Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan have spent time in India. So I think that they will go out on all fronts. I think it's interesting to see कि जो economic relationship है India और United States की, उसमें China का क्या effect होगा? I think to me, I'll be curious to see how that works out, because I don't think that, like in the past, that to counter the military buildup of China, that the United States will have a military buildup of its own on Indian soil, or just or boost Indian military strength, etc., etc. I mean, वो तो खैर होगा. They may have extra military exercises. There may be some deals with the defense industry here, etc., etc. But one thing I'm curious about is to see, will there be an extra, incentive for India to be closer to the United States through economic deals, through bilateral trade deals? Will they use commerce as a vehicle for diplomacy? And that's something that I'm quite curious to see if that develops, because it's a relatively non-controversial, thing to do. And I think, if the United States helps India, I don't think, it's not a simple thing to just become the next China from manufacturing standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. But there are other areas of the economy in India that the United States and India can seriously, meaningfully engage on. I want to see if that component of commerce becomes a part of diplomacy. And then I'll defer to my friend Vidisha here to talk more about that on the, and that's, to me, the strategic part is there. I really hope that the relationship between India and the United States is not just seen through the Chinese lens, because that'll be a shame.
जी 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 प्रोफेसर विदिशा, आप इसको कैसे देख रही हैं? मतलब हाउ डू यू सी द इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट सिनेरियो नाउ? What we have seen in the past, that during the Trump's era, maybe he was having a very great personal chemistry with Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but our role in the Afghanistan peace process was reduced, despite having very huge diplomatic investment in Afghanistan. Our role in global partnership with America is reduced, as we were having those, in multilateral diplomacy and all. तो अभी आप बाइडन के समय में क्या वो दो रिसोर्सेज थे, they were dried up? Do you think any hope and possibility that these will be, again come into the fore? आपका Professor Vidisha, please unmute yourself.
Definitely. I think all throughout the campaign, Biden and now his team have emphasized that they look at foreign policy as something that encompasses many different things. So it's not just about security, it's not just about China, that all these things, market forces, security forces, human rights, these are not just parallel issues, they're intersecting issues. You cannot separate one from the other. And so I think the Biden campaign will definitely come in viewing India as well as other countries as being part of a broad set of interests and issues. And I also want to say, and I've written about this before, is, one of the things we lose when we look at India through China lens is that India is completely different as a political system from China. India's appeal in the international system has always been that India is a democracy, right? An unusual, exceptional democracy, very unusual in the post-colonial world, very unusual in the sort of middle to low-income countries world. And that's what makes India special. That is what has always made India special. And I think for the US as well as for any other country, when they look at India, they don't see China Junior. They see a different country, right? A country that really, in its founding principles, was about inclusivity, about secularism, about letting different voices speak. And that's not China, right? So if India tries to become like China, an authoritarian, intolerant country, that space is already occupied, right?
Yes,
India's not going to beat China in that. Yes. So I think as the US tries to broaden its relationship and recover its relationship with India, and it talks about market, economy, China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, getting vaccines to Maldives, whatever the issue is, India's unique point is its democracy. Like, you cannot take that away, because if you take that away, what's left, right? And I think President Biden understands this, not just because he understands India, but because he sees foreign policy as something big, right? Not this, like I'm selling you military aircraft, but that I'm building a defense relationship with you because I want to build a a bigger relationship with you about shared values and shared interests.
And that shared values are democratic values.
Yes, yes. And that is what China is not, right?
Yes,
So that's what's important.
that's what, and that's
Right.
just yesterday we have written in our platform, the Freedom Express, the team is the message for Mr. Modi. So,
Yes.
तो प्रोफेसर मनीष, देखिए ट्रम्प थे वो बहुत इन्वर्ट लीडरशिप के उसमें रहे, वो आइसोलेटेड थे, वो इंस्टीट्यूशंस पे बिलीव करने वाले नहीं थे, वो ट्विटर पे फैसले करते थे, तो और व्हाइट हाउस से अकेले ही कुछ करते थे, उनका टीम से ही नहीं बनती थी, जितना हम लोगों ने 4 साल में देखा कितने लोग आए गए उनकी टीम में, तो वो ग्लोबल पॉलिटिक्स से रिट्रीट उन्होंने वापस ले लिया था वो, और अमेरिका का ग्लोबल रोल बहुत कम हो गया था, क्योंकि वो स्ट्रॉन्ग अमेरिका और के पॉलिसीज पे चले गए। बाइडेन, जैसा कि रोहित ने कहा कि वो इंटरनेशनलिज्म वाले व्यक्ति हैं, वो 8 साल रहे भी हैं वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, बहुत
Right.
पूरे दुनिया से उनका इंगेजमेंट रहा है, तो इसका रिफ्लेक्शन अब, क्योंकि यूरोप से भी संबंध अमेरिका के बेहतर होंगे, कनाडा से इम्प्रूव हो जाएंगे जो ट्रम्प के समय में खराब हो गए, तो वो सारी बातें जो भारत में ह्यूमन राइट्स के इश्यूज उठते हैं, खासकर कश्मीर का मामला 370, कमला हैरिस के खुद बड़े स्ट्रॉन्ग व्यूज रहे हैं कश्मीर के 370 के मामले में, तो डू यू थिंक दैट कि अमेरिका नॉट ओनली एज ए कंट्री, as a global leader also, there'll be some pressures on Modi regime on human right records?
Absolutely. I think पर उससे पहले एक चीज और समझना जरूरी है.
जी जी.
How Biden and Harris is positioning their own politics at this point, which is in the context of the Trump era, coming as a follow-up of the Trump era, in which they recognize that during Trump era, United States has also suffered a lot in its international reputation
Reputation and image, yes.
on several issues. So before they could start saying things on CAA, Article 370, NRC, on dissent, on the freedom of expression, right, on the freedom of press, they have to make sure that they are able to reset this country's own vision. United States' own positioning in the international platform. How they're doing it, for example, now they're trying to come back to the Paris Agreement as one. They're also now getting back into the WHO as one example. The other day, Dr. Fauci was mentioning that.
Yes.
So first, they're doing a cleanup act within their own domain. Once that cleanup act is done, hopefully soon enough, then they will be in a position to now start saying things about the other countries' political and the issues related to all these dissent, human rights, and democracy. So in that process, I do see that, that those things will happen. And don't forget that, during 2008, when India signed the US nuclear deal, at that time, Biden was the chairman of the Senate chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, and those are some of the things that he also used during his own campaign to target the Indian Americans in this country. So there is this whole, Trump was not a seasoned politician, let's face it, right? He was an anomaly as a politician. Biden is a seasoned politician. He's a career politician. And the only difference now where Trump and Modi were together is the personality cult, right? The whole divisiveness, anti-institution, anti-intellectualism. We have spoken about those things, majoritarianism. Whereas what Biden and Modi brings together is they both are seasoned politicians, right? They may be ideologically in a very different plane altogether, with again Modi's ideology being with Trump's and Biden being more inclusive individual, more democratic, leader. So we will have to see how those things will play out at the end of the day. But rest assured, we feel very positive of the United States administration taking stance and speaking up for the human rights violations that is happening in India under Modi's regime. whether it is about the press freedom, whether it's about the individual dissent, whether it is about the persecution that we have seen in recent years of the people who have taken political stance against the government's positions. So we should be looking forward to seeing those
Yes.
those aspects.
और बहुत सीरियस है मामले। आप देखिए कि अभी कुछ दिन
Absolutely.
पहले वो एक लड़का जो सिर्फ मुस्लिम है, उसलिए वो जेल में है क्योंकि
Correct.
उसने वो जोक सुनाया नहीं, वो कॉमेडियन, और उसके ऊपर भी वो गलत आरोप है, उसने वो कुछ कहा ही नहीं,
Right.
और उसको
Right.
जमानत नहीं मिल रही है। तो जाहिर सी
Right.
बात है कि ये इश्यूज, इस तरीके के इश्यूज इंटरनेशनल फोरम पे जाएंगे।
राइट इसमें मैं एक और चीज बस एक ऐड करना चाहूंगा आपके दर्शकों के लिए प्रशांत जी। लास्ट ईयर or maybe late last year, Pramila Jayapal, who is another Indian American, very prominent
very
congresswoman,
yes.
she actually had a bill which is called HR 745. That bill specifically talks about the stance against Article 370, the revocation of the Article 370 and Article 35A in Jammu Kashmir, and the the fallout of those aspects. So that bill has not seen the movement of late. It started off, it had about 70 odd signatures, from both sides of the party, from both Democrats and Republicans. But now again, so now with the Biden administration coming in, I would also be looking forward to seeing that bill take up at a next level, becoming a little more kind of moving in its process. So you could see that. And one of the other things that HR 745 has also been updated, because things have happened in the last 2 years. So many things have happened in India. So if I recall correctly, that HR 745, people have advocated for it to not only just talk about the Article 370 and 35A, but also include the discussion on the Citizenship Amendment Act and NRC and how it is targeting the Indian
minorities.
Exactly. So we should see some movements on that particular bill also from the US floor.
प्रशांत जी मैं एक बात कहूं?
जी
So Prashant, before I lose this thread, Vidisha ने कुछ टाइम पहले कहा था कि when she was at the State Department,
गुजरातिया
अपनी सॉरी विदिशा ने कहा था कि when Vidisha was at the State Department, विदिशा के एक्सपीरियंस में था कि people felt lectured by the United States, right? कि तुम कौन हो हमारे बारे में बोलने वाले. I think this is a unique moment, and I think the last 4 years have been very interesting, because I'll tell you one thing कि मैंने देखा है कि so I went to college in the United States, so I've spent more time here than I've spent in India. I for the first time saw second generation Indian Americans be so attuned to what's happening in India, because they felt what was happening in the United States was also happening in India, and there's a connection this time. So this moment mein, the US State Department does not have to lecture anybody, but to basically show the world that look at what is happening to us from a humility standpoint. Look at what happened to us. If you don't do what you need to do to maintain human rights, maintain dignity and decency in your society, this is what happens. So they don't have to lecture anybody. They just have to share their own experiences, which were on full display on January 6th. A lot of people in India, including me, जब हम लोग को देख रहे थे वो दीवार पे चढ़ते हुए लोगों को, तो बाबरी मस्जिद कंडेमनेशन याद आ रहा था।
बिल्कुल। और मैं उसी पे रोहित जी मैं आपसे आ रहा हूँ, क्योंकि टुवर्ड्स द एंड हम लोग इस पे बात करते हैं कि ये जो कैपिटल हिल में हुआ, और ये मेरे ख्याल से अभी जो ट्रम्प के बहुत सारे फैसले को उनको रिवर्स करना है, कुछ अमेरिका को वापस पटरी पे लाना है, पेंडेमिक है, इकोनॉमिक इश्यूज है, दूसरे तमाम सारे इश्यूज हैं, लेकिन एक कहीं ना कहीं आप मुझे बताओगे, क्योंकि प्रोफेसर विदिशा तो गवर्नमेंट में बहुत सीनियर पोजीशंस में रही हैं, हाउ अमेरिकन माइंड इज थिंकिंग अबाउट having a safety wall, more stringent and workable safety wall, not to have a repeat of what happened in Capitol Hill, because that would be the reflective to our democracies and other democracies also. Like in Europe, the second Hitler never born. So what will happen in America?
मनीष कुछ कहना चाहते थे? Then I'll go.
No,
after that.
I was just,
कोई भी प्रोफेसर विदिशा
I
तो
will go after you, Rohit.
Vidisha, go
I
ahead.
would like
I'll go
to
after you. Go ahead, Vidisha.
I think Manish should speak. He had his hand first.
No, I was just putting my sequence after Rohit, but if you want, I can start.
no it's not nothing sequence, it's all democratic.
Right. No, I think, see, one thing that people in India really have to understand, that there is no role of a supreme leader in a democracy. You know, when you put one leader as a supreme, unaccountable individual in a democracy, it spells disaster of the epic proportions that we saw right in the United States. Right. So we cannot afford to do that in a democracy. That's number one part of it. Number two, how we can assure that this process doesn't repeat is by bringing accountability, by holding people to accountable measures. And how the US government is now doing is they've already impeached Donald Trump for the second time. And more than likely, he will be convicted this time, which is what didn't happen back in last January, right,
Yes.
before he traveled to India.
Yes.
So those things, because actions have consequences here. So once he's impeached and he's convicted, that spells a lot of, it brings accountability to the point where people say that what he did is not endorsed by, all these political bodies or the representatives of people. So those two things, I believe, will really set that motion in play, where people will see that this was an exception that happened in United States. That was the 6th of January. It will be known as a dark day of democracy in this country.
Yes.
But at the same time, we also have to recognize the strength of the democracy, that within 3 hours, they were back in the floor, doing what they were supposed to do, and that is where you see how the systems in this country are so powerful, that with the event that it unfolded, I mean, those were unprecedented events, by people breaking the Capitol Hill windows. I mean, this was like you will see, I mean, people would make fun of that. These scenarios you would see in a war-torn country, not in an established, stable democracy of a country like United States of America. But we saw that happening right in front of our own eyes. So I think people have to recognize, so just summing it up, people have to recognize the role of, you cannot afford to have a supreme leader in a democracy. It spells disaster of epic proportions that we see right now. And second is bringing accountability to the actions that have happened. So that's where I would say.
I
Rohit,
would see little more than just fixing the accountability. There needs to be a more workable and stringent safety walls.
Absolutely.
Professor Vidisha, I have a concern and a fear, as an Indian journalist, as an Indian person, that as Manish was saying, that within 4 hours, the American system, took the control of democracy. That could happen because the institutions, American institutions, were very strong. American media was not with the Trump. American media was not with the people who were moving in with the horns and all these things
Vikings.
in Capitol Hill.
Right.
But when I see India, so in India, if you see, the judiciary is in a very, very bad shape. Parliament is virtually not meeting. Sizable, I would say, the complete, barring few exceptions like us, like other few channels, the Indian media is completely with the people who are with the government now. So if tomorrow something happens like this in India, we don't have this kind of institutional backing. Do you see that there'll be international concern, there'll be more safety walls, more long-term policy, a framework to keep the democracy alive? There should be a global concern. This should not be just Indian concern. How do you see this?
I think, you said, American institutions are strong, and they are strong, and they should be strong because they're more than 200 years old, right? But in 4 years, those institutions have been shaken to the core, right? Yes, the American media is independent, but American media was very complicit in encouraging the violence that happened on January 6th, right? Yes, in the United States, the judiciary is independent, yes, but it has also allowed for certain inequalities to continue that have contributed to this violence. So even when your institutions are strong, they're still fragile. They still have to be nurtured, right? In India, our institutions are only 70 years old. So that nurturing needs to be done even more because they're more fragile. So in that sense, I would say India's institutional problems are bigger because the institutions are weaker. But the biggest lesson I would take for India or for any country of January 6th is when you encourage this genie out of the bottle, this genie of hate and bigotry and violence, it will turn on you, right? One of the big things that the attackers of Capitol Hill said is that we want to hang Pence, right? This is Vice President Pence, who walked with Trump all the time, right? He did everything that Trump wanted him to do till that last point where he said that, I'm going to certify the result.
Conceded the
yeah,
defeat.
but excuse me, but if I may speak frankly, that courage that Pence showed is rubbish courage. There was no way for him to overthrow the result, right?
Yes.
So he wasn't even brave. He just had no way to change the result. But still, those rioters said, we want to hang him. This is what happens when you're complicit with fascism. This is what happens when you're complicit with violence. It will turn on you. That is a guarantee. And so I think, those who are in some amount of power in India would do well to remember that. No one is safe from that. Even Vice President of the United States is not safe from that, then no one in India can be safe from that too. So I think that's an important lesson for Indians to remember, that, when we think that we can be protected from bigotry because we're high up, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't even work like that in America. The second thing I want to say is, Dr. Ambedkar very famously had said that the soil of India is undemocratic, right? The soil of America was also undemocratic. Like literally, American democracy was born at the same time that slavery was going on.
Yes.
The very men who were talking about American democracy had slaves, and they kept having those slaves, right? So I see the journeys of the Indian democracy and the American democracy kind of going together. And like what Rohit said, that this is, a humbling time for American democracy. It should also be a humbling time for Indian democracy, right? Because the kind of mob violence we saw in America on January 6th, we have seen in India too, many times, right? And what comes out of that ultimately is shame and destruction, not victory, right? And history has proven this again and again and again. So I very strongly believe that supporters of democracy in America can learn from India, because the soil of the two countries are more similar than we see. And supporters of democracy in India, even if they're weak supporters, can learn a lot from the story of Vice President Pence, or former Vice President Pence.
Thanks. Rohit, लास्ट कंक्लूडिंग कमेंट आपकी तरफ से. यहाँ हमारा परसेप्शन ये है कि अमेरिकन इंस्टीट्यूशंस, अगर अमेरिकन डेमोक्रेसी बची उस कूप टाइप अटेम्प्ट से, सो उसका एक बड़ा कारण था कि जो अमेरिकन माइंड है, जो अमेरिकन इन्फ्लुएंसर्स हैं, वो कोस्टल एरियाज में है, जिन शहरों के नाम इंटरनेशनली हम जानते हैं, जहाँ से आप लोग हैं. So that is blue. So and those people who entered into the Capitol Hill, they can be equated as our cow belt people in India, if we talk in Indian terms. So क्या ये जो ब्लू अमेरिका है, ये भारत पे कितना असर डालेगा, क्योंकि वो ब्लू अमेरिका ही चीजें उठाता रहा है ह्यूमन राइट्स की.
I think we need another program to do a proper comparative analysis.
Blue and America and red America का. Yes, of course, we will do.
Basically, जो blue America है, उसका what is the counterpart of blue America in India? So I just want to say a couple of things. Number one, ki Lincoln ne kaha tha ki if there is ever, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact quote, if there's ever a grievance that has to be addressed by a mob, then that democracy is in trouble.
Yes.
Right. So, and this is true of India and the United States today. I think that people should not see January 6th as an outlier. And the reason for that, I think, is deeply cultural. Even the statistics that are coming out, how many Republicans felt, what are the Republican views of the riot and what is the Democratic views of the riot? They're divergent. It's unbelievable. कि TV पे live सबने देखा, the United States के every single senator and member of Congress's life was on the line. And even after that, more than half of the Republicans feel that the the riots are peaceful. I mean, it's unbelievable. Fiona Hill is an international expert. She even testified at Trump's impeachment trial. She said something very interesting. I mean, she said that post-truth is pre-fascist. And that's where the United States is headed. We are post-truth. And the same thing happening in India. India has become and sadly, Indian society is further down the road on the post-truth path and much closer to they're not pre-fascist, they already are pre-fascist. But that's where this problem is right now. I think there is a fundamental problem with the notion of truth, transparency, and that is one thing that Biden has a very clear view on. Now, the problem is that if somebody starts believing in a conspiracy, then you can't argue with them. So there is a mental disease that is happening in both democracies right now. And I think it's critical to address it. And unfortunately, the leadership in India is afflicted by the same disease, that they've started believing the untruths that they've propagated. I think that history has given Modi one more chance to be a statesman. It is highly unlikely, unfortunately, that he'll take it. क्योंकि एक और मौका मिला है इंटरनेशनल शर्म के कारण या किसी और चीज के कारण. There is an opportunity here to be a statesman. You have so much political capital. You don't need to do all these things. You don't need to put comedians into prisons. You don't need to.
भारतीय मीडिया ने जिसको यहाँ पे मोदी मीडिया वगैरह कहा जाता है, उन्होंने कल एक सर्वे भी किया है जिसमें बताया है कि अगर if elections happens today, Modi will come again with thumping majority. तो मुझे लगता है कि वो डोमेस्टिक उसका पर्पस कम है और ये जो नई रिजीम आई है अमेरिका में, उसको भी एक संदेश देना है कि देखो अभी भी you have to engage with me, I am still strongest. So right. Professor Bidisha, last comment from you on is there any hope that degree of Islamophobia in US will go down and its contribution to the global Islamophobia and its reflection on Indian politics?
Yes, because I think the Biden administration is committed to rolling back the Islamophobia that we saw. And so, America, I think today is a more humble country than it was 4 years ago, and that's good, but it's still a very powerful country. So when the leader of the United States says, Muslim ban, we should ban Muslims, then that resonates everywhere, including in India. You're not going to hear those things from President Biden. And I think that will send a signal to other countries. What India does is up to Indians, right, at the end of the day. But those in the Indian government and the Indian media who want to sort of attack Muslims are no longer going to get implicit support from the American government, and that's a big difference. So I am hopeful.
Yes. Right. और यही संदेश जो है, मनीष आप कुछ करें.
No, just to add to what Bidisha said, I mean, for the record, President Biden in his very first day overturned the Muslim ban already. So, so that itself shows the position of this government and of our leader at this point. So, yeah.
तो दोस्तों बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप तीनों का. आप लोगों ने अपना कीमती समय दिया, तीनों लोगों ने. और काफ़ी जब हम सुबह यहाँ बात कर रहे हैं तो अमेरिका में काफ़ी रात हो चुकी है. और इस उम्मीद के साथ कि अमेरिका में जो बदलाव हुआ है वो पूरी दुनिया में डेमोक्रेसी के मूवमेंट को और स्ट्रॉन्ग करेगा। थोड़ी सी चिंता भारत के बारे में ज़रूर है कि भारत के इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो हैं वो 2-3 बार ऐसे मौके आए कि वो उस तरीके से रिएक्ट नहीं कर पाए जैसे अमेरिका के इंस्टीट्यूशंस ने रिएक्ट किया। और 2 अगर मैं घटनाएं याद दिलाऊं आप लोगों को, दर्शकों, तो जब इमरजेंसी लगी तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सरेंडर कर दिया था सरकार के सामने, इंदिरा गांधी के सामने, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट फिर से कमजोर होता दिख रहा है। ऐसा ही बाबरी मस्जिद के समय हुआ, बाबरी मस्जिद गिर गई और अदालत में हलफनामा देने के बाद गिर गई, और हमारा सिस्टम, पुलिस, हमारा न्यायिक व्यवस्था उसको खड़ा होके देखता रहा। अगर हमको अपनी डेमोक्रेसी को मजबूत करना है तो ये इन इंस्टीट्यूशंस को स्ट्रॉन्ग करना होगा। अगर अमेरिका में इतना बड़ा चैलेंज आया और उससे वो 4 घंटे में बाहर आ गया, उसका रीजन यही था, कारण यही था कि उनके डेमोक्रेसी के इंस्टीट्यूशंस बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग थे। तो एक बार फिर आप तीनों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, और हम लोग फिर चारों मिले और फिर अमेरिकन जो कुछ और दिन हो जाए बाइडेन साहब के, तो कुछ फैसले आ जाएं, कुछ नई टीम काम करना शुरू करे, तो हम लोग फिर मिलेंगे और चर्चा करेंगे। और दर्शकों, आपसे अभी विदा लेते हैं। और जैसा आप जानते हैं कि फ्रीडम एक्सप्रेस आपका अपना मीडिया हाउस है और हम आपकी मदद से चलते हैं। तो नीचे स्क्रॉल में आपको हमारे डिटेल्स दिख रहे हैं, उसमें आप अपनी मदद हमको भेज सकते हैं। और बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, और आप तीनों का एक बार फिर बहुत शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much. Thank you.